Got Sophie here. Hi, Sophie. How are you? I'm allowing everyone to talk through Zoom, so yeah, do feel free to say hi. Like, unmute yourself.
Hey, we'll give it maybe one more minute, and then we'll kick off. If you'd like to, at any point in time, just feel free to ask any questions. This is very much an open forum. So yeah, see if you can ask me something that I can't answer. That's the challenge.
Right. I'm going to spotlight video you, Luca. Cool. Well, the poll so far is showing match giving, fitness trackers, CRM integrations, live stream, and user experience are all key of key interest.
All right, let's kick off. So I'll just start by welcoming you all to this week's Funraisin Live. I'll give you a little bit of background on myself. I've been at Funraisin for 3 years now. Prior to this, I worked in marketing automation, so looking after email campaigns, conversion rate optimization for large financial services and airlines, and decided to do something a little bit more rewarding. So I came over to work at Funraisin, and yeah, been living the dream ever since. So today we're going to cover off quite a few things. We will specifically look at match giving. We'll also talk about engaging corporates. We'll discuss the flows, user experience, as well as custom donation journeys as well. So a few little bits and pieces that you can do to customize things. So as I mentioned, just feel free to interrupt at any point in time. Yeah, it's very much a open session. So if I'm talking too fast, if there's something that you want me to delve into a little bit deeper, just let me know, and we can yeah, touch on that specifically. Okay, let's dive right in. So first we'll talk about a little bit about match giving. So match giving can be handled a few different ways. So the primary one that we focused on in terms of platform is this example that you see here. So you can see in this case, Coles is matching donations up to 100,000 for the Heart Foundation. We have a time remaining, and as soon as it reaches this 100,000 in terms of donations made, this will switch off. So it's a really good way to leverage if someone is, if you already have some sort of corporate sponsorship coming in, you can leverage that for the organization, so they can promote it on their end as well, and it's a great way to make that money work for you. So rather than just receiving it in a lump sum, you can leverage it to increase your donation amounts. So you can see here what happens when you do make a donation. So as soon as I've selected the 20, the additional 20 is added from Coles, and then I can choose to donate that amount. And you can see here, in this case specifically, they haven't set it doesn't appear that they've set a limit on those amounts. So you can see someone's made a donation of over $1,000. Coles has also matched that as well. So you can also set this, if it's not such a big amount and you'd like to, just have it last longer, you can also set a cap on how much it matches up to. So for example, it might match up to $25, $50 to kind of get the most out of that. So that's the first way of doing it. Does anyone have any specific questions around how this is done, I can take you through some of the back end elements of it as well, if you like. Nope.
Just looking at the question and answers tab, there's nothing in there yet. Can I ask are there any restrictions at all in terms of if I had a new match donor come through, can I just add in can I continue the match giving campaign, for instance, and like replace that?
Yeah, so you can, in the admin, you can set up multiple match givers. So as soon as one runs out, it can switch out to the next one. And that makes it really nice and easy. You don't have to every time panic and have to set it up from scratch. You can just have it preset. And then, yeah, as soon as it runs out, it'll just roll over to the next one. So it's really nice in terms of like administrating it. Like you don't have to go back every time and actually make those changes manually. And it means that you can keep leveraging it. It is quite nice as well that you can, for each company, you can then promote that again. So you get to reuse that functionality and to get more donations each time you have additional sponsors. Cool. Is there any other questions on this aspect of match giving? I see Tracy, you've joined a little bit late. So I'm not sure if you'd like me to maybe touch on this a little bit, or if this kind of makes sense to you in terms of how the match giving works here.
It's fine, I'll catch you on a recording, but thank you.
Okay, cool. No worries. Okay, the other one that we often get requested for, and this one is a customization that we add on, is as part of organizations, adding the option to ask if your company supports match giving. Obviously, there's not really a way to automate this process because you don't have access to that organization in terms of you don't have a credit card number that can be assigned to it that can automatically be debited. And realistically can't rely on that person that statement is in fact correct. So it is something that does need manual follow-up. But we often, as part of the registration flow, have a question where it says, does your employer support match giving? And that's usually a very simple yes, no, or not sure. And then as part of that, we usually set up an export of all the people that have said yes or even not sure in terms of people to contact after the fact. So that's just done in the registration flow. Same place you have your organization fields. So if I'm registering for an event, I'll just go through the admin. Just make sure we have organizations enabled. So as part of development, we would just add an additional question in here. Apart from organization, we would create a custom field for you that has match giving options. And then it would be up to you to follow up on those people to make sure that that is in fact something that they're able to do.
Luca, does match giving, does it tie in with the corporate pages as well, or the support at kind of corporate fundraising?
So yeah, we can definitely do that. So we have had a few cases where there is match giving and that is automatically calculated. So if we do know that there is a valid organization that will be supporting match giving, we have set up custom leaderboards and custom like profile pages and tallies that also include the match giving. So for example, we had a physical event for a corporate and they were going to match every donation their employees made for every first donation that their employees made. So as part of that, we added some custom displays for the amount that has been contributed by the organization as well. So rather than having just a single bar that has the total progress, you'd have the single bar plus the little bit on top that the organization is giving as well. That event is currently not live because obviously physical events are currently cancelled. So everything's been pretty much switched off. But yeah, that's definitely something we're able to do.
And that drives up employee uptake of the fundraising as well. So the leaderboards and all that kind of thing, that picks up that side of it.
Yeah, so we've done it a few different ways. We've also had, it does increase that desire to make the first donation. We've also done some tests. For example, there was a case in the Netherlands for Ride for the Roses, and they had a insurance company that was a sponsor of the event. As part of the registration flow, we had an additional question that was if the person is a customer of that company, of that insurance company, and if they were, they would get an additional €5 donated to their page. So as part of the registration, they would instantly get the donation. And what we found from that is the people that were already fundraising, they raised on average more. The people that, you always get the ones that don't really fundraise much, they at least fundraise something. So rather than having, zero, they did actually make an additional donation as well. So yeah, there was some great results on the back of that. And that was just a different way of leveraging corporate sponsorship, rather than like specifically a match giving thing, because you didn't match the gift, you just gave them an additional offline donation.
That's a really interesting idea of funneling a £5, which is such a small amount for a corporate to give, but at the same time, that leaves the fundraiser thinking, well, I can't waste that donation. I've got to do something with it now.
Yeah, well, it's great for the company as well, because again, at least the logos on the page, they can share that on the social channels about how much they've donated across all these people, and the customers themselves have a more personal connection to the company as well, because they've been encouraged to fundraise by in this case their insurance company.
Yeah.
Is there any questions around this approach to match giving? I understand that you can't see the example as it's a custom field, but was there any questions about how that would be managed? Nope. Is everyone happy for me to move on? I'll jump on to some more of the corporate engagement. Was there any specific questions anyone had about match giving?
Do feel free to use the chat or the question answer boxes if you want at any point, guys. Why don't you move on, Luca, and then you can always come back.
No worries. So talking about corporate engagement, there's a few different approaches we take to this. We sometimes create full custom events for people. Sometimes we create, filters and leaderboards, and we also have organization pages as a feature now. So there are quite a few ways that you can leverage it. I'll take you through a few examples of that. So the first one is this one for September. So it's specifically dedicated to Microsoft. So as part of this, Microsoft employees would sign up, register, link their fitness apps, so either Strava or Fitbit, and then share their pages and get donations. So this is very, very early days. So this is just kicked off. But in this case, we have a custom page for the organization. They have a custom registration flow as well, and like leaderboards across individuals and teams. So this way you can really kind of make a special experience for your corporate, rather than just having them sign up through a flow and get people to join a specific team. This way, it's just a simple event page, really easy to set up. You can just duplicate an existing event, change it specifically to that organization. And if you like, you can even add entry codes so someone doesn't accidentally join that event that isn't permitted to. So that's a really good way of just kind of allowing corporates to have their own environment. And we're doing quite a few of these at the moment. Because there are some high value corporates out there that do want to support your charity, but they also want their own thing as well. So yeah, this is quite a good solution for that. Cool. I'll take you through another one. So this one is for, this is for, leukemia. And this is for the Pendle group. So they have a specific donation page that's been created for them, where, they can we can set custom donation amounts for them. It has a specific call out to the sponsor, and they can share it around internally. And this is just a donation page. It only takes a few minutes to create. You can just set it up in pages, and then set custom donation amounts if you like, and people can add their messages if they want, or custom images, and then share those around. So it's quite a good way, again, engaging corporates, giving them somewhere to donate that's specifically for them. And in terms of administration, it takes no time to set up at all. So it's really nice and easy.
So look, this is a duplicatable page. So this you could have like multiple corporate supporters, and then
exactly. You just go into your pages, and if for any of your donation pages, you just go in, edit it, clone the page, and then in this case, the only thing you'd be updating really is the messaging. So it's one header and this little logo, and that's it. You're ready to go. And if you want, you can also set custom dollar handles against that donation page as well. So again, in terms of the experience that the corporate gets versus the amount of effort involved, I mean, this can be set up in probably seconds.
So I'd have a corporate car company. I could make the dollar handles tailored to vehicles or something, and make the impact more relevant to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So I'll show you that quickly. You just copy the page, go to your copy, edit that, go into your header, set your new header, save that. And then if you had additional content to update, you update it in content. Otherwise, you can just publish it straight away. It's done. So that's a really good way to leverage those corporates, and set something custom for them. There's also we do quite a few leaderboards to kind of encourage workplaces to participate. So we can have specific leaderboards that are based on the fact that it's a workplace as opposed to just a standard team or an individual. So in this case, we just filter out by if it's a workplace or not, and then people can join those workplace teams, and you can also leaderboard them, so you can have some competition amongst the organizations, rather than just having a standard team and a standard fundraiser. You can kind of call them out specifically, and there's quite a nice way of doing it, because you don't necessarily have to put individual teams against corporate teams, especially if you end up having large donations against workplaces. It means that a normal team can still strive to be at the top of that list without competing with potentially an organization team that has 50 or 60 people in it.
Does that mean that the workplaces are overarching teams effectively, like they're higher tiered groups, so you can have two teams within a workplace?
So yes, you can do that as part of organization pages. So organization pages are a layer on top of teams. So you can have an organization page. That organization page can have multiple teams underneath it, and then obviously those can have multiple individuals in it. So it's quite good if you have really large corporates. That way you can have your organization page, and then maybe a page for each division or department, and those can compete amongst themselves inside that organization page. And it looks very similar to this. So in terms of what you do get the donation form, and you get all the team members or teams underneath it as well. In this case, obviously, this one does have some customization in terms of how they're displaying some of this information. But yeah, you would have one of these pages. So you'd have one person in the organization that would manage that organization page, and then any teams can slot in underneath that as well. So that's a really good one to use for your really large corporates. For most corporates, you'd probably be fine with just using teams. In this case, they're using Teams. So this is just a standard team, but
just to be clear, that the custom element on this page is the team members count and the progress.
Yes,
count.
just this section here.
But the rest of it is the standard template for.
Correct. Those are all standard.
Yeah. And the workplace teams, could that be applied to something else like regions, or different parts of the country, or even different countries of the world?
Yeah, it can be. So you just need a person to manage it. So you might, depending on how it wants to be structured, we've kind of built it so it can be catered for anything, whether you want a organization to be managed by potentially someone in HR, or it's a relatively small organization, but they have a lot of different departments or different regions. They can all jump in there do what they need to do. So we really try to empower both the organizations and the fundraisers themselves to leverage the platform to raise as much as they can. So that's what it's all about.
That's awesome.
Does anyone have questions around corporates?
Also, welcome to Tom, who just joined us.
Nope.
No, but we've got on the poll, we've got fitness tracking and fitness tracker integrations and marketing integrations as equally in demand.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Anyone who hasn't jumped on the poll, jump on there. Let us know what you want to see, because we'll use the poll as a diktat for the session.
Yeah, perfect. There's one more example just quickly before we move off this corporate topic. So in this case, we have a custom leaderboard page specifically for an organization. So for the March charge for Qantas, we have a leaderboard that pulls in all the Qantas staff. It has a count of the amount of employees that are participating, how the distance that they've done. So this will be linked in with Strava and Fitbit, and then the amount that's raised across the country. So you've got individuals, top distance done, top teams, and top team distance. So yeah, people can compete on each of those. And then it's all around Qantas specifically. So this page wouldn't be relevant for anyone else, but for Qantas staff, they can kind of see how they compare amongst each other, as opposed to just looking at a standard leaderboard that might have them, halfway down the list, but they can't find their other friends. So yeah, that's quite a good thing to do as well. Okay, so next up, we'll talk about fitness. So fitness tracking, we have integrations with Strava, Fitbit, and MapMyFitness. So how this works is, from a user perspective, you go in, you do your registration. As part of your registration, we also add, if you want fitness targets, we can add that in. And then the user would go into their admin and connect their device. So that's a very simple process. It's a one click. So I can take you through what it looks like. So the user would connect their device. Let me see, this one should have it. And then that distance, time, or steps would be pulled into the page, depending on what you set in the event. Okay. See if this one has it enabled.
Nice fundraiser.
Killing it. Joys of being a demo platform where you have unlimited disposable income. Okay, no, this does not have it. Let me just jump back into the event. Yeah, so the fundraiser would come in. I'll show you some examples of the live sites rather than you guys seeing me enable that. So we have one example here where we just have a straightforward display of the distance. We also have graphs as well of fitness specifically. So if you go to one of these fundraisers, you'll be able to see the distance that they've done. In this case, we've also added hours. And so you can see the distance they've done and a little graph showing how much they've run each time. We also leverage these graphs in other ways as well in terms of tracking fundraising for repeat users, repeat fundraisers. And then we can also add some gamification elements on this. So for example, we can have things like a percentage of goal reached. You can have, if it's 50 or 100% of the fitness target, or even just connecting your devices. For people that don't have a device, you can also just add it manually. So I'm sure some of you will be aware already. We have the My Fitness Activity tab in the back end, and there you just check the, you just enter your details and however you want to track it. So you can choose your activity type and your distance or your time, and then log that. So it doesn't necessarily exclude people if it's a walking event or something and somebody doesn't have Strava. It's not the end of the world. Some people do add their fitness tracking manually. So it's really up to you on how you want it, how up to the fundraiser on how they want to do it.
Is the units in which the page displays your activity, is there flexibility in that? Can it be like miles? Can it be kilometers? Can it be steps? Can it?
Yeah. Yep. So you can set this in the admin. So you can set if it's kilometers or miles or steps or hours. Depends on how you want to do it. So there are quite a few, step challenges specifically. Where it's walk 100,000 steps or something like that, and we can just update it. You just set it in the admin, so in fitness settings when you're editing an event. Oops, wrong one. Fitness settings. You just enable it, and then you set the type. You set the unit, so kilometers or miles at platform level, and then you can choose if it's distance-based, step-based, or duration-based. And you can set targets. So you can set 10,000 at a minimum of 5,000, and whatever the maximum is if you want one. Otherwise, you can just leave that. And you can also enable it to hide if there's no activity, so someone doesn't have just a blank graph on their page. And yeah, nice and easy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I'll just show you that now that we've done.
I especially like that you can hide it if there's been no activity, so it kind of it avoids shaming.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll just turn this on so you can see what it looks like.
Speaking from personal experience.
Yeah, I mean, we really like to enable users to be able to do whatever they want. Because you will get the majority of people that don't necessarily add anything to their page, but you also don't want their page to look terrible. So yeah, avoiding shaming them is always a good call. So I can go into my fitness activity, and here I can connect my preferred app, set my target, or manually add my activity. So whatever you need it to be.
This is the fundraisers experience.
Yeah, that's correct. So in your dashboard inside my fitness activity, you have your connection options. You select your activity type. So I can say, today I walked 10 miles. Oh, it's in steps. We'll make it 10,000 steps. So it changes. If I view my page, just smash my goal. It's really nice and easy for the fundraiser to add that. We can also embed things like a Strava map. So I can show you some examples of that. So you can see over here, as a user, you can go in and you can add in this case, I'm not logged in, I'm logged in as someone else, even though it's the same name. You can add a Strava map. So you would just add an update. I'll log it in as this one. So I can just add an update and my Strava map. One I prepared earlier. And now I've got a new Strava map on there. So yeah, we enable users to add whatever they like to kind of, make their page their own. And yeah, in this case, we have split out the updates as well. So if people want to add their TikToks, YouTubes, whatever, yeah, they can just go in, select the option and hit save, and that's it. Does anyone have any questions around fitness tracking?
Can I, well, one of the things that we've got on in our poll is increasing user experience. And just because we've got the gamification icons on badges on the screen,
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about how those can drive behavior maybe? Because I know that they color in when a user achieves a goal.
Yeah.
How can that be used in relation to, for instance, encouraging adding a Strava map to your page or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, so we do have quite a few gamification badges, and we sometimes add additional ones as well on request. So it is really a nice way to kind of keep people engaged. We usually pair those with some triggers, so rather than just seeing it pop up on your page, maybe the person hasn't been to their page in a couple of days, but they did just receive another donation. And that's just brought them up to that, receiving 5 donations. We can set up a trigger email in the admin really easily to get them to really come back, check out their page and make the next action or try to fill up their additional badges. And we do see some really good response with that. There are people that really strive to make sure that they color every one of them in. Sometimes you might get a request like someone shared their page, but they might have done it in a way that you can't track. So they might have written the URL in a WhatsApp message rather than using one of the buttons that's already on there. And yeah, we do get requests all the time to say, oh yeah, by the way, I did also share my page, but I didn't do it through the site. And so we do see people really trying to achieve these. So it's really good to make sure that you have some sort of achievements on the page, so users can, progress through their journey. In this case, upload profile picture, add a blog post, because we do see, people that engage with the page, they're way more likely to get the higher donation amounts. They're the ones that are constantly sharing the page. They're the ones that are constantly updating it, and they're the highest value as well. So not only is it good from a user's perspective in terms of, giving them something to do all the time rather than just, sitting around waiting for a donation, they can engage with it. It also helps you in terms of identifying those people, because you can pull out specifically the people that have that high propensity to fundraise, whether it's you're pulling a report from the back end, or you're just sending that data straight to your marketing platform. So wherever that is, so either through CSV or through one of the built-in integrations, and using that to tailor comms to those higher value donors and fundraisers. So yeah, the achievements are a big part of it. Another big part of it is just the general flows themselves. So as part of the registration flow, one of the big things we recommend as much as possible is keeping those as simple as you can. I know there's always questions that would be nice to know, or little bits and pieces that you might be curious about, but we do see that if it forms too daunting, then yeah, people don't generally like it. So I'll take you guys through one of these. Just log out first. There are also a lot of bits and pieces that you might be able to collect after the fact. So sometimes we add custom web forms in the logged in dashboard, where users can come back and fill in that additional piece of information. So that can be, a com can be sent to all the people that haven't yet entered something. there are obviously cases where you may need the information up front. So in the case of address, especially in the UK, you might need the address so you can, oops, that address doesn't exist. Yeah, you might need the address for gift aid, for example, if somebody makes a donation, so some things can't be avoided. But yeah, keeping this form as simple as possible, reducing the amount of steps where you can is a big part of it. And then there's no merchandise. And then the other thing is making that flow in terms of getting to it as easy as you can as well. So making sure there's very clear CTAs, they're prevalent. There's not a lot of content that's hiding it. You know, it's really important to tell your story, but keeping in mind that 70% of the people that come through are really task orientated. So they want to set up their page, they want to get fundraising, they want to buy their entry ticket if there's an entry ticket, and just get on with it. So you really need to make sure that you're still catering for those people. You will get a small percentage of people that will want to look at every single thing that you've done. But the majority does come in from just the, you know, they like the idea, they want to do their 10,000 steps and they want to raise money for you. Just make that as simple as you can.
And so that, to that end, that's where the charity can specify the text that goes in that pre-populates that title and description box.
Yeah, exactly. And we do a lot of things to make that as simple as possible for the fundraiser. So there's things like this. So, you know, the pre-populated text. You can also have, you know, custom default images for this if you want. So something that is more brand relevant or event relevant. And then you can also do things like having pre-populated emails that they can send. So they don't have to worry about doing anything. They can just get on with it and move on. Mm-hmm. We also try to make that process of inviting people as simple as possible. So whether you need to pay for the person or not, we can just make it part of a standard step or have a step specifically for inviting people, collecting key details like, you know, shirt size or date of birth or anything you need. And then you can just invite them, they'll get the email.
How much freedom is there in each of these blocks? Can we add imagery? Can we add extra like copy and text and CTAs and that kind of thing?
So all of these blocks have the option to add additional content above them. And in terms of the fields themselves, there's a lot of options in the admin. When you're setting up an event, you can go through and select any of the you know, default fields that we have. So inside entry forms, you've got each of these steps has options that you can pre-select from. If you need additional fields, we can also add those in the form of web forms or custom fields. We can also add fields wherever you want as a custom job. And, you know, those can be used for anything. We have ones where use custom fields for, might be rather than selecting just a shirt, they might select a different product type, or if there's, you know, 3 or 4 different options that you want to add against organizations. So you might want, like the example that we had before, match giving. If you want to ask a question about match giving, we can add that as part of a custom field. Or things like sector, if you wanted like what sector that organization is, that can also be added in as a custom field.
The user experience side of this, it's really flexible. Like I could tailor a registration flow pretty much to whatever I can come up with. If I wanted to ask their first name, their last name first, if I wanted to ask their, you know, for their, get them to register their fitness tracker details as part of the flow, and I wanted to get them to, I don't know, like, and I wanted to have like imagery, like header images for each of those blocks, and I wanted to, like, you know, have it look kind of quite like graphical and pretty.
Yeah.
All of that's possible, and it can be done however.
Yeah, another common one is just simplifying flows. So for example, you might want, for that same event, you might want 3 different flows. You might want a flow just for individuals, one for teams, and one for organizations, right? And The individual one, for example, doesn't need the team step. The team one does have the team step, and then the corporate one also has company details. So there's a lot of different ways that you can tailor these. Same for things like, sometimes we do it for distances. So if it's either a virtual or physical event and you've got different distances, so you've got, for example, 10, 25, and 50 kilometer, all of those have different prices. You can have different flows that have different prices and attach different member types to those as well. So people can select, I need to invite someone, but they only want to do the 10 kilometer. You can enable that as part of the registration flow. And by giving people that information up front, or making that registration selection really nice and easy, you really do decrease the amount of drop-offs. For example, if you're using something like ticketing, with ticketing, because the user can see the price of the ticket up front, they can see exactly how much the cost of the ticket is, and they see their subtotal. A lot of times we don't see any drop off in the last step because they already know exactly how much they're going to pay right at the start. So there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of cater it specifically to your audience. You can also do testing with it. So if you want to A/B test it, you can set up different registration flows and swap them out if you want, and see what works better. We also enable custom tracking on all of these. So if you wanted information in your Google Analytics that has, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, so you can see exactly where people are dropping off, you can set that up really easily. All of these have custom tracking enabled. So in the advanced options, custom tracking, you can add custom tracking in there. I might quickly touch on the integrations. So I'm not sure if there's any specific ones that anyone is interested in, or if you'd like just a quick overview on what can be done.
Yes, I guess in terms of the CRM and marketing stuff, like, why don't we just start going through them, and then if you guys, Sophie, Tom, or Tracy, if you want to just ask anything about the ones that are like pertinent to you, just jump in, or I've got eyes on the chat channel as well if you'd rather not jump on the mic.
Great, thank you.
Cool. So we'll start off with Salesforce. So Salesforce, I'll keep it pretty light on because Salesforce is often fully custom. But by default, we have a Salesforce integration. This syncs to household accounts, creates contacts, or looks them up depending on if they exist. So if they exist, it just adds that record. If it doesn't exist, then it creates a new one. Also syncs opportunities, events in terms of campaigns, and attaches them to that contact to a campaign as a campaign member. And then so you have all your transactions going in there, all your donors, all your entrance teams, everything just comes through. So that's really nice and straightforward if you have the standard non-for-profit pack. Otherwise, we customize these on a almost daily basis. So if there is any specific requirements that you have in terms of how your Salesforce should be linked up, just let us know and we can sort that out. Cool. Next up is MailChimp. MailChimp and Campaign Monitor are quite similar, so I'll go through Campaign Monitor. In terms of these, how it works is we link up to a Campaign Monitor account. We'll pull in all of the different lists that you have in your Campaign Monitor or MailChimp. And then inside there, you can edit pretty much whatever you want. So you've got, you can filter out what you want in there. So if I want fundraisers, donors, if I want raffle sales, shops, or guests, if I want to filter it to a specific event or a DIY, you can filter that as well. And then you can add your custom fields. So this is where you can use all this information for personalization. So things like event date, you can add what the event date is, or the URL of the specific fundraiser, or the target of that fundraiser, how much they've raised, how much they have left to go, even as percentages. So you can say, you know, I want to send an email to everyone that, you know, has 20% to go, saying, you know, you're almost there. And as soon as you've saved it here, you just need to wait for the sync. So it syncs every hour, and then those emails are ready to go. Everyone is constantly updated in there. So anytime there's a new or updated record, it gets synced into your list, and then you can start leveraging that. If you do have specific requirements, there is also the ability to do custom queries. So if you wanted to filter it on, I don't know, everyone that has a medium shirt size that registered in between, you know, yesterday and today at like midnight to 2 o'clock or something like that. If you want like some really intense filtering on that list, you can just ask us and we can just add a custom filter on that. Usually you can control all that from Campaign Monitor, but if you're trying to sync like thousands of records, you might want to filter it. So that's quite a nice thing to have as well. In terms of configuration, it's really easy. You just copy and paste the API key and just let us know. We connect it up for you. We just enable the sync on our end. And that's it. So yeah, it's literally a matter of just copying and pasting this number. Any questions around that?
I guess when I'm thinking about what I can do in Campaign Monitor, I'm always expecting to jump between programs, and I don't know if that comes from just like the history of tools that I've used before. How creative can I get with the fields in Funraisin in terms of tying things into Campaign Monitor for personalization in emails?
Short answer is you can do whatever you want. So in here, you don't even have to create a new list. You can, in Campaign Monitor, you can do it all from here. So I can select specifically all the fundraisers from the auto show event, save that, and then I've got my new list.
I've got a question from Tom, actually.
Yeah.
Because Tom's asking, a big question for me as an event organizer is how to leverage and integrate the platform for sales and marketing. My main fundraising event has a ticket price of $3,500 US, and I use Pipedrive as my CRM and have been using Squarespace for my website. So
yeah,
unify those platforms.
Yeah, pretty easily. So we actually have a data export functionality. So I'll take you through what that looks like in terms of setup. So you would have an event. That event, you would just, if the fee is standard, you could just create an entry fee of that 3,000, right? So people would go through the event, register for the event, they pay their money, and then what you can do, you can set up a daily or weekly or however often you want CSV export. Of course, we can like do a custom solution as well, but the easiest way is we can set up a daily export. It can go to either an email or an SFTP, and that can get picked up by Pipedrive. So with these, you can also do whatever you want with the fields. If I want to move fields, I can move fields. Yeah, I can change what the field is referencing. I can change the field name if there's a specific, you know, there might be a specific convention that you need to use for that import. And then you just select what information you want in there, and then you can have it all come in. You can also add things like default values. So for example, if you're importing to Pipedrive, you might want a status, you know, a lead status or something like that. So you can just create a field called lead status, and you can put in whatever value you want. Or for all of this stuff as well, again, custom queries. So we can push any information you want into whatever field you want. The whole platform is built around you having access to your data. This is not our data. Everything belongs to you. So you have full ownership and full access to whatever you want. So we really try to make that as easy for you as possible to use without, without causing too many headaches in terms of integrations and things like that. So there's a ton of options you can do with this, and we integrate using this functionality. We integrate with a ton of platforms that just have an automated pickup job. We put the CSV somewhere that picks it up. We can set it to new and updated or since the last export. and then those just get processed automatically. We also do have webhooks as well. So you might want to use the webhook through something like Zapier to automatically pull in fundraisers or something like that, or entrants. So that's another option as well. That's nice and easy to use.
Zapier could probably be used, or something like that could be used as well to integrate with the Squarespace website he's mentioned as well.
Yeah. I mean, with the platform itself, you can do pretty much all your content management stuff on here as well. So you can just set up everything you want on here. You can create your own content, your headers, pages, as many pages as you want, pages inside events, blog posts. So you can use it as a full CMS as well.
Tom says, yeah, that's that. He was literally just about to ask about Zapier and the Squarespace website. Tom, do you have a question about, or could you add detail about what elements of your website you would like to see on a fundraising page, or what you would like to export from Funraisin to what part? Maybe Luca can go into a bit more depth.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Hey, so I guess I'm just trying to understand.
I don't know what you mean by.
Sorry, there goes my
Siri. I guess
there
I'm
goes my
just
Siri. Sorry, I was just trying to understand any implications to my sales and marketing by switching my landing page or my home page or the page I promote to potential participants in my event from Squarespace to Funraisin. So I guess you'll have a view on kind of other similar organizations and the approach they take. But
So it's actually really common. So we have people that come in that migrate everything over. So like the entire brand site gets migrated over. But obviously some of the URLs don't stay the same. So we just set up some 301 redirect. So what you're promoting, you can keep promoting. That just comes through, it just lands on where it's supposed to land. And yeah, that's really nice and easy. We also have cases where, it's kind of built in. It looks very similar to the existing site. So in the case of something like Camp Quality, they've got their brand site and then they've got the fundraise one. So they manage everything. You can see the sites will look very, very similar. We have the same navigation. You've got effectively their entire events aspect of it is managed on Funraisin, and then the rest of their site is managed externally. But looking at it, there's not really much of a difference. We kind of duplicate the nav, and these links can go back to the main site, if there is a specific thing, or it can be a specific hub. So it's pretty much however you want to structure it, whatever works best for you. Again, just trying to make it as flexible as possible in terms of catering for everything.
Sorry about that. Are there case studies on the fundraising site on different types of users that I can look at?
Like in terms of how that's structured in this respect?
Yeah, or just I guess different. I guess I'm just interested to see how other event organizers are working with fundraising, because there's two things going on with me. There's potentially migrating my website and content over to the fundraising platform, but also because of the functionality you guys allow, there's also the evolving my business model, and finding a new business model essentially and strategy for my organization. And seeing what's best practice and what other people are doing is really useful to me. So, as I do that. So
we can definitely send you a whole bunch of examples on how different people are using it. There's even cases where people have, let's say all the event aspect of it and the fundraising aspect of it on the platform, and then integrate some parts back onto their site as well. So every block that we have in the platform can also be embedded wherever you want it. So if you do have a site that you really need to stay there, you can also, for example, add a for any one of these blocks, you can just grab the embed code for it and then just paste it across. So that way you can kind of something like that. So yeah, that's definitely an option, but we'll send you some specific examples so you can kind of see different ways people are using it, because there are so many options. It's pretty much however you'd like to use it. Chances are we've catered for it.
Great, thank you.
Tom, I'll make sure that someone pops you an email with some list with a few examples and stuff. But we've also got in the blog section of the Funraisin website, we've also got a few site of the weeks just to get you started. So they're a bit historical. So we'll get you some other ones in the email.
Fantastic, thank you. And are you guys based in London in the UK? Just or are you? Where are you guys?
We are, but Funraisin is a global platform. So Luca and I are part of the London team.
Okay, I'm in the UK, so I've been talking a bit to one of your colleagues in Australia,
yeah.
But I think he's put me in touch with one of your team members. So I'm just hoping to fix a call at some stage, maybe later this week or next. So
yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
Cool. I'm conscious of time. That's pretty much it. Does anyone have any last minute questions or anything that they're really curious about that you'd like me to quickly touch on?
I think we've hit on all the big hitters from the poll at least. I think we've gone into some decent detail on increasing user experience, marketing CRMs and fitness trackers, and of course the match giving. Can you show us the journey of setting up match giving as a fundraiser?
As a fundraiser?
Yeah.
Well, as a fundraiser, it's already set for you.
Oh, so it's just the same flow all over again?
Yeah, it's the same flow. I can quickly take you through. So in terms of user experience, one of the other handy things is being able to just copy whatever page you want and use that as a starting point. Same goes again for specific events. So you could have this all set up and ready to go. So rather than having to create something from scratch every single time, you can have the event pretty much set up. And then all you want to do is just clone it and make some minor changes. This way, all the event pages are still there. You can still update just the minor things. So rather than having to go create a new event, create all the pages, use what's there is the easiest thing to do. And then, for all of this stuff, to make sure it's relevant for people landing on that page. So it has the information that's specifically related to it. And yeah, unless anyone else has anything else.
I reckon we should wrap up. We're bang on the hour.
Yeah.
So good work. Thank you, everyone. Cheers,
Thanks
Sophie.
much,
Cheers,
guys.
Tom. Tracy's just left us, but thank you to her as well.
thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Chat
All right.
soon.
Thanks,
ya.
guys.
See you later. Bye.
Bye. No worries, Sophie. Thanks for joining.